This is the Steelseries Aerox 3, and this mouse is honestly decent quality for the price you're paying. In today's video, you're going to be covering everything you should know about this mouse before you're purchasing it for your own setup, because let's be honest, it's one thing to have a mouse that has a lot of specs on paper, but how does it really compare to in proper use for gaming and obviously some workflows? So let's get straight to what you need to know about the Aerox 3. So first, what comes with the mouse in the box? Now, of course, I like the presentation of SteelSeries with their products. You do obviously see the SteelSeries mouse, which honestly, the presentation is very similar to when you're basically unboxing a new phone. But underneath the mouse, you do find your USB Type-C cable, which is braided. But honestly, the braiding that they did with this cable is very impressive and feels really good quality. Now, of course, you have your 2.4 gigahertz receiver, which, by the way, you can actually use this with the receiver or with Bluetooth. So you can technically connect this to your iPad, and I'll even test that out later in the video. Now, obviously, you got your little dock, which is mostly to actually do updates for the receiver, and you can have other uses for this dock as well. But I'll definitely say that the dock does have a nice rubber padding, which keeps it on the desk, so it doesn't move a lot, especially for those that do not want anything to move on the desk. And it's actually pretty useful. But now going to some of the specs you need to know about this mouse, it does have 18,000 DPI with the version I have right here. And it's more than enough. I mean, I don't think anyone really needs more than 18,000 DPI because that's just a bit overkill when it comes to using a mouse. Now, if we do look inside of the mouse, there is also main computers in that. And for most that are wanting to know, is this waterproof, or how do they prevent from this mouse basically stop working when you, for example, accidentally spill some water or a drink on it? Well, it does in fact have an IP54, and it's honestly impressive that they actually thought of making sure that this mouse doesn't die, especially if you accidentally spill some liquid inside this mouse, especially with the holes. Which, by the way, these holes do actually make this mouse a lot lighter, and does have an expected weight of just under 70 grams, which will obviously show a little scale showing how light this mouse actually feels. But I'll definitely say in hand, compared to other mice I've reviewed on the channel before, this is very light and feels really comfortable. Now going underneath the mouse, you can obviously see the switch between 2.4 gigahertz and obviously Bluetooth, and it's actually really nice. Now, of course, if you go with the 2.4 gigahertz, it has a certain type of RGB setting, which obviously the light is mostly indicating that it's currently searching for the receiver that is connected to a device. But if you're going to be using Bluetooth, it does in fact flash blue, which is honestly pretty funny. Then right underneath that, you have your sensor. And then something that I would definitely point out is these pads that they have, because these pads are very smooth and gives you a nice glide on any surface. But obviously, I do recommend using a mouse pad because mouse pads are better to use in terms of gaming use. But now let's go to quality and comfort, because it's one thing to have a mouse that has so much specs on paper, but how does it actually compare to when you're actually using it for gaming or even workflows? Now, I say comfort-wise, it's very comfortable. It's actually very comparable to most mice on the market, especially from Logitech with their, I believe it's a 302. And it's honestly very nice feel in your hands. Now the build quality, obviously with the holes, it does make it feel a bit cheaper, and especially with it being so light, it feels a bit cheap, but it's not cheap at all because the plastic that they actually use for this mouse is very solid. And I think it has a decent build to it. Now I definitely recommend to actually install the SteelSeries software on your Windows or Mac device to obviously just keep this mouse up to date, and you can also customize the RGB to your liking, which is actually really fun. Now let's say you do not want to use this for wireless settings, which honestly most people would prefer to use wireless, but you know, people want to have the weight of a heavier mouse. You can also use the included USB Type-C cable to connect it and have it in the wired setting. And this is actually honestly a very perfect combination when it comes to those that are wanting to use this on a console, because let's be honest, most people are using mouse and keyboard on consoles because one, consoles are a bit cheaper than most PCs out there, and two, it's an easier way to use a nice spec mouse on a console system. Now, of course, we have all these amazing things about this mouse, but what is the price of this mouse? Now, ironically, when we got this mouse, we got it from Evotech, which obviously is a well-known PC brand in South Africa, on special. And when I looked on Amazon, this is also on special on Amazon. Now, for the version I have right here, the black version, it's currently 40% off, where you can get around about $60 or so, instead of the main price, which is around about $100, which $100 for this type of mouse, it is a decent price, but obviously most people will question about the price in terms of what type of performance it does have. Now, I don't say if you do want to go for the white version of this mouse, which I wouldn't really recommend, because anything white can get stained pretty quickly and dirty pretty quickly. But the white version is around about $70, currently on special. But now let's actually test this mouse on basically an iPad to see how it works in terms of Bluetooth connectivity. But otherwise, that's everything you should know about the SteelSeries Aerox 3. I'll definitely recommend this mouse for those that are wanting to get a decent mouse with a decent spec to it and obviously some decent comfort, because it's hard to find mice on the market that is suitable for most players out there. And I mean, this is basically a standard mouse grip that you have, and the quality is decent. You have a nice airflow for those that do want to use this for heavy gaming sessions. But other than say, this mouse is decent to go for. So far we had no issues with this mouse at all, and it's honestly a good price for this type of mouse. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the Aerox 3? Would you get this for your own setup or not? But hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next video. Be safe as always and have a great day.